Hello and welcome to teleSur's from the South. A new school has been opened in Bolivia, one that offers subjects that counter U.S. imperialism. Based in the city of Santa Cruz in eastern Bolivia, the school was opened by President Evo Morales on Wednesday. Morales has been a vocal critic of U.S. imperialism and intervention in Latin America throughout his presidency. Some subjects offered by the school are the theory of imperialism, geopolitics of natural resources, and Bolivian social structures. Venezuela has struck $4.5 billion in mining deals with foreign and domestic companies, which could significantly help the economy. That's according to President Nicolas Maduro, who did not specify whether contracts had yet been signed. The president said the deals were with Canadian, South African, U.S., and Venezuelan companies.
There are still questions about the link between the ZIKA virus and microcephaly, but in just the first 2 weeks of August, 21 cases of newborns with microcephaly have been confirmed in Honduras. All of them were directly linked to mothers having the ZIKA virus during conception or the first 3 months of pregnancy. ZIKA is transmitted by the mosquito Aedes aegypti, the same mosquito that transmits dengue in the region. Honduras has had dengue outbreaks for the last 25 years.
The only thing they do here in the country is count the cases. There are no epidemiology studies. But the government is recommending avoiding the mosquito and attempting to eliminate mosquito breeding places. But we have been doing that for years and we always fail.
In Honduras, 1.6 million citizens have no access to safe drinking water. People collect water in barrels and bottles that are perfect places for the mosquito to breed. The problem is systemic and related to the poverty that affects 60% of the population. Some youth and women's organizations are worried that a lack of birth control for women with the ZIKA virus could lead to an increase in children with microcephaly. The government advises women with the disease not to get pregnant, but isn't willing to discuss the need for sexual education.
We see the statistics, and the promotion of abstinence isn't enough to decrease the pregnancy rate in Honduras. What the government should promote is access to birth control so women can really have an option to avoid getting pregnant.
Honduras' fight against the ZIKA in microcephaly is ineffective and contradictory. Only 30% of women have access to birth control, and the newborns with microcephaly have no government support. The precarious situation in Honduras could mean the country could be one of the most affected by ZIKA and its consequences. Gerardo Torres, telesur, Honduras.
Suspended Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff says the impeachment process against her is fragile, legally inconsistent, unfair, and unleashed against an honest and innocent person. She's calling for a referendum into early elections, as well as for political and electoral reform. Rousseff was suspended in May on accusations she doctored the fiscal accounts to get re-elected in 2014. The Brazilian Senate begins the final phase of the impeachment process against Rousseff on August 26th. 5 tons of cocaine has been seized and several drug labs destroyed by a joint task force of Colombia's Air Force and anti-narcotics police on Tuesday. This is the latest in a national operation to crack down on illicit drugs. 4 militants were killed in Russia's St. Petersburg in an operation carried out by the Russian Federal Security Service and National Guard. There were no civilian casualties. Officials said that the aim was to detain wanted persons accused of participating in illegal armed groups in the North Caucasus. German police have arrested a 27-year-old man on suspicion of storing materials that could be used as explosives. However, they later said that there were no signs he had been planning a terrorist attack. Officers only found pyrotechnical products in the apartment, and there were no indications he had an Islamist militant motive. Australia and Papua New Guinea have agreed to close a controversial Australia-funded asylum seeker detention center on Manus Island. However, the ultimate fate of the 800 refugees held in the camp remains unclear. In April, Papua New Guinea's Supreme Court ruled that the camp breached Section 42 of the Constitution, which guarantees personal liberty. Dozens of locals rallied in the Florida Keys on Tuesday to demonstrate against plans to release genetically modified mosquitoes. They protested outside of the Mosquito Control District building. One of the group's biggest concerns was the lack of the independent research on the effects of GMO mosquitoes. Wildfires are growing rapidly in California, destroying homes and forcing some 82,000 people to flee in San Bernardino County. Another fire, which broke out in Northern California, has destroyed 175 homes. A state of emergency has been declared. Police broke up a protest against the Zimbabwean government and central bank's plans to reintroduce local banknotes in Harare. About 100 protesters set out to march through the streets of the capital toward the central bank. One man sustained deep cuts on the head from batons.
Israeli troops forcibly stormed and demolished 8 homes belonging to the Shalada family in Sayr, east of Hebron in the occupied West Bank Tuesday morning. The demolitions left more than 50 Palestinian homeless, including women and children. Another 20 were displaced in the demolition of a home in Beit Jala near Beit Lahem. Palestinian sources reported one of the homeowners, Ziad Shalada, as saying that Israeli bulldozers demolished their homes under protection of the Israeli army without a previous warning. Shalada added that he and his fellow homeowners only received cease and desist warrants 2 years ago under the pretext that they did not have the necessary building license from Israeli authorities.
Israel's policy of home demolition will spark tensions in Hebron again. The situation in Hebron hasn't calmed since the beginning of the Intifada. The resistance operations have been more intense in Hebron. At the same time, the Israeli policy in Hebron was criminal and dangerous. The Jewish settlements are located in the heart of Hebron. The Al-Ibrahimi Mosque is divided and Muslims are banned from praying there.
Palestinian residents living in Area C, where Israel retains full military and civil control over 60% of the West Bank, suffer arbitrary policies of land confiscation. Residents are not allowed to use any of their lands or building or farming without authorization from the Israeli civil administration. Demolitions in the West Bank and East Jerusalem have seen an unprecedented surge in recent months. The action comes as Israel has approved the construction of new Israeli settlements in various areas across the West Bank. Human rights organizations have repeatedly criticized the ongoing demolition of Palestinian homes as violating international law. Nuharazin Telesu TV, Gaza.
And a top International Olympic Committee member, 71-year-old Patrick Hickey, has been accused of selling Rio Olympics tickets at black market prices. Hickey is also suspected of conducting ambush marketing and conspiracy. Brazilian police have launched a widening investigation after seizing more than 1,000 premier tickets for Games events. And that's it for From the South. More on these and other stories on our website, telesurtv.net/English.